Hi, everybody. Ian Bremmer here, just responding to the United States investigation opened into Fed Chair Jerome Powell. A really bad idea. You don't want to see investigation of the central bank undermined. It's one thing that is core to the long-term stability of the United States dollar and the U.S. economy. There is so much experience with how things go sideways when you start politicizing those decisions short term. But part of the political revolution in the United States, the attempted political revolution that is underway right now, is reducing checks and balances on the executive and more U.S. control by the president of all of the levers of power in the U.S. government. And from Trump's perspective, that includes the Fed. Now, he is the guy that appointed Jerome Powell to begin with, but he's not happy with him now. Doesn't like the fact that he is not reducing rates as quickly as Trump would like. This is an intellectual policy disagreement. Trump thinks it would be good for the U.S. economy. Jerome Powell believes it's not. It's Jerome's job, and he's taking that seriously. And he's made no bones about the fact that he will not be job-owned by the president into doing what the president wants. This, of course, is unacceptable to President Trump. And almost certainly that is why we have this unprecedented investigation being launched. Now, the investigation is not about his inflation and his monetary policy. The investigation is into cost overruns, which are significant in the reconstruction of the Fed building headquarters. And this has been going on well before Jerome Powell, and he is not thought to be personally responsible for it, but it's also, of course, not why the investigations are occurring. Nobody credible believes that. No one believes that privately. No one would say that privately. And yet, publicly, there has been virtually no condemnation from the Republican Party by this attempt, and that is because loyalty to the president is indispensable if you want to be in good standing in MAGA in Congress. So there's Tom Tillis, who is a Republican senator that came out publicly and has said what I just said people are only saying privately. But of course, he is retiring, which means that he no longer can be beat up effectively by Trump. But that's about it. Now, I did see Jamie Dimon come out and said that Fed independence was indispensable and this would lead to more inflation, and that's certainly true. Jamie's important because he is really seen as the leader of the American financial and industrial community, and if he makes that statement, other CEOs will feel more willing, more capable to get behind him. There are lots and lots of places where we've heard crickets from financial institutions and industrial CEOs. But if they're going to say something about anything that is an attack on rule of law, it's likely to be Fed independence, which is so core to how they think about the business that they are doing long term. Look, the issue here is that investigations more broadly are becoming politicized. It is not only unacceptable for a political investigation to be launched against the central bank governor, but it's also unacceptable, the notion that you can't imagine an independent investigation being launched by the Attorney General against, for example, a member of Trump's family or a close associate, inner circle in his leadership group, no matter what crimes they were believed to be committing. And that is, of course, kind of a central tenet of a functional representative democracy, and one that has eroded significantly. It has been eroding for a long time. We've seen politicized judges in the Biden administration. The New York convictions, felony convictions, were of crimes that someone else would not have been charged with, not as felonies. And that is a politicization. Didn't come directly from the president, but it was a Democrat in his party. Hunter Biden was the subject of an investigation. Again, I can't see that happening now anymore. But Biden did promise not to pardon him and then went ahead and pardoned him. So There are, we've now seen this slippery slope to the bottom, a race to the bottom, in unwinding core checks and balances on the US president going on for a while now, but it is accelerating, it is gathering steam, and it particularly matters on an issue of this importance. It appears that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent had pushed back privately quite a bit against Trump in person, gotten a lot of reports around that, and that as a consequence, Gian Pirro, the U.S. attorney who launched this investigation, seems to have backed down a bit. And this is kind of important because it's not just about what the U.S. is pushing in terms of a political revolution, it's also which pieces of it are successful. We're about to see a Supreme Court ruling come down on IEEPA, which I think is likely to be a pushback on the president's assertion that he can put tariffs for any reason on any country at any time at all. And that is, of course, not the way tariffs work. There's a national emergency exception for concerns of national security, but otherwise it's in the hands of the legislature. Well, the Supreme Court's about to rule on it. We'll see where it goes. But watching not just what the president is doing and trying to do, but also what the outcome ultimately is, that is a big component. And so frequently, the headlines are all about the tweet and about the statement and about the unprecedented act and not about the pushback and the court system and where it ends up. That's not as exciting, but it's even more important. And let's actually follow these stories as they play through, as we will with trade in very short order. That's it for me. I'll talk to y'all real soon.